our neck of the woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus Live with Simone and Gerhard Mathangani.
In a show that focuses on a lot of on the field, on the court, on the diamond topics, we start off the court, off the field, off the diamond in a lot of different ways. Of course, the big news out today in the sports world, Chauncey Billups, the Hall of Fame player and the Portland Trail Blazers head coach, as well as Terry Rozier, former Louisville star with the Charlotte Hornets and the Miami Heat, are two of more than 30 people who've been arrested by the FBI alleged gambling ring as it relates to not only sports betting, but also with illegal poker. I mean, this story kind of writes itself out of a movie script, and there's so much to dive into. Of course, that is the big topic of the day, and we will get into much more of that as this show goes along. Welcome to Southeast Sports Plus. Gerhard Mathangani, Patrick Walsh, Simone Eli will join us here in just a little bit, but of course that
it's
story
game night. It's game night.
It is game night. Oh yeah,
Game night.
The Eastern Conference champions are back on the court today.
You know, I didn't wear this shirt because of the gambling ring. I woke up to the news. I saw it this morning. I was like, oh, you know, I'm not awake enough to like fully understand what's going on.
Correct.
So
yeah.
I didn't really fully understand until I was driving in today and I was hearing everything. I was like, oh my goodness. But no, we got game 8, as I like to call it, of the NBA Finals. Pacers Thunder tonight.
I like
to
that.
open up the season.
Pacers Thunder, a rematch, of course, last year's NBA Finals that went 7 games. Of course, in that game 7. Yeah. The star goes down. Tyrese Halliburton goes down, and it just feels like there was such a what if moment with those NBA Finals because the Pacers came out of kind of nowhere a season ago. And how do you like your voice tonight?
You know, I think they'll play close. Obviously, it hurts not having Tyrese Halliburton for presumably, I think the last I heard was till at least April. Mm-hmm. But I think, in my honest, unbiased opinion, I think the Pacers can sneak into one of the play-in games, and then he should be back by then because I like Pascal Siakam to revolve around the offense to revolve around him, and Cam Jones is my rookie of the year as long as he doesn't keep speeding. Yeah,
I know. Just saying, drive the speed limit, my man, and stay healthy. So looking forward to that in the NBA. Also, I think it's a Warriors Nuggets in the other game there in the NBA. Yes. So it's a really solid NBA slate as well. South Alabama and Georgia State play in Sun Belt Conference action. That's the one lone football game, and there's a bunch of SEC games this weekend. Of the SEC games this weekend, there will be a lot of officials on all the fields. One guy that will not be on the field and his crew, Ken Williamson, word out yesterday from the SEC that he has been permanently suspended from officiating conference games. Yellowhammer News is the first place where I saw it. I think that's the first place that broke it. It stems from alleged multiple miscalls and grievances from the Auburn-Georgia game. Of course, that game had more light because of what happened just 7 days prior when Auburn was in Norman, Oklahoma to face the Sooners. Lots of mistakes there as well. We should make note that Ken Williamson was not on the field for that game. But the Georgia game really exasperated a lot of things, and the SEC had to do a lot as far as from a PR standpoint after the Auburn-Oklahoma game. So it was really pivotal that the Auburn-Georgia game be officiated right, and the league says no, and they took the extra step today with Williamson.
Yeah, and I feel like there's always going to be a magnifying glass on any team once, you know, the calls may be going one-sided.
Yeah.
Obviously, the SEC released the statement after the Oklahoma game, but as everybody saw, in my personal opinion, and we talked about it on the show after the fact, I think Jackson Arnold got it across the goal line pretty easily.
Right.
Before that was one of the calls, and then the other one was the infamous Kirby Smart clapping.
Yeah.
Running down the sidelines, even though I didn't know this was clapping. Like what are we? What are we doing there?
I have seen so many memes about that this past week when people are doing this. KD caught a timeout. KD caught a timeout on then the opening night in the NBA, and they're like, no, he was just clapping. Like, they didn't have any timeouts. He wasn't. It didn't result in a technical because the officials did not acknowledge the timeout, but he was doing it, and of course, it drew a lot of laughs because of what happened with Kirby Smart. But this is a really interesting situation because there were I think 11 files as far as just what the SEC deemed was not to the standards of officiating. Of course, the 2 that got the highest profile were the one that you just talked about with the timeout as well. This to me kind of puts officiating in a really interesting situation, because it wasn't like Ken Williamson just got there, and it wasn't like he was new, the job was too big or whatever. He'd been in the league for a really long time, which I think makes it really interesting as the SEC moves forward, just how highly critical they will be of these officials, because these officials get performance reviews, game to game, week to week, month to month, and then year to year as well. And so I'm interested to see what Commissioner Sankey and the SEC offices do with their officials moving forward.
Yeah, and I'm not here to completely harp on the officials. I mean, it's a tough job.
For sure.
I would not want that job, because, I mean, you've got 80, 90, in some places 100,000 people staring at you and booing you. I would not want that as you make a call. But I thought it was really interesting when I was doing a little bit more research on Ken Williamson, and I didn't know there was an infamous call in the 2019 Fiesta Bowl where I believe it was Ohio State and Clemson.
Right.
And I think Clemson went to the national championship because Ken Williamson's crew was on that game, and there was a missed targeting call, and then there was a missed fumble, I believe. Now, I have to clarify, those were both deemed by replay review, so he doesn't really have any say in that. It's just, it's interesting that, you know, he was linked to that, and now he's linked to this, and now he's permanently suspended from SEC games.
And you don't see this very often.
No, you don't.
And officials overall, and referees in general, the good ones are the ones you don't know their names.
Yes.
That's when you know you're doing a good job, is when the officiating is clean. It's a good, clean game. Everybody, you know, the fouls are called, and you don't know who the officials are. Obviously, in the NFL, you know guys like Ed Hockley and some of these other ones that have been in the game for forever. But the good ones, they hide. Yes. And this is kind of like one of those big stains there on the SEC. And the SEC league office says that obviously that they don't really publicly criticize officials. So, I mean, obviously the word came out, but there hasn't been just this boisterous attack on Ken Williamson, because the league offices also know that, you know, fan is short for fanatic, and you know, people get crazy, and so you don't obviously want, you know, things to get stepped outside of the white lines, so to speak. So the SEC has been kind of mum on this whole situation.
Yeah, and I think that's the right approach to it. I mean, any officials are arguably the most criticized profession in any industry. I mean, you think about most criticized professions. I mean, you've got politics you have which we'll get into here in a second. Politics, you have reffing, and then, I mean, literally anything else that, you know, some people might not like you, some people like you, and that's why it's so hard to be a liked official.
Yeah, and because you have to call it both ways, and fans aren't both ways.
Yes.
Fans are one way, so they'll love you when
fans
the
just
calls,
want to win.
Yes, they'll love you when the calls go your way. They'll hate you when the calls don't, and especially if those fans have money on the line. It's a very interesting, you know, seesaw scenario here. But the good officials, you know, kind of once again shy away from that spotlight. It was really interesting to see if that's the case, or since that's the case. And because, I mean, he is a career official. He's been in the league. He's been in college football for a really long time. I'm interested to see if he gets other opportunities, and whether it's maybe the Mountain West or Division II or in another league altogether, to see if he can kind of rehabilitate his image, because obviously these things are stains that you don't want there as an official.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it is hard to come back from something like this, but I do hope he gets another chance, as you mentioned, maybe at the Division II level. I know he was a high school official for over a decade, so maybe he even goes back to high school officiating, but I think he's still going to find a job.
Yeah, and of course these white hats, I mean, that's what they're called. The head referee, the guy that makes the call, he is the white hat. He's basically the captain of the team, so to speak, the team of officials. But he's also responsible for just the way the game's officiated overall. If it's an uneven game, it unfairly kind of falls on him. Same thing with quarterback. I mean, quarterbacks are, you know, it's wins and losses. There's so much out of the quarterback's hands. If a holder drops a hole and they miss an extra point, they don't win a football game. It goes back to the game score, and a lot of times quarterback gets the blame. So unfairly, they get the blame, and unfairly they also get the calls on the other side as well. So as far as I could tell, I don't think it's his whole crew. I think it's just him as the white hat. will no longer be officiating the games in the SEC this year. So a really interesting situation there. It's an interesting scenario. And, of course, with Auburn now back on the road once again, the game now goes to Fayetteville, and there will be, once again, a lot of eyes on this football game because Auburn is now playing, once again, a team that, in my opinion, this can be a close game again. And I think the officiating, I wouldn't want it to. I hope it's not like basketball and some other sports where the pendulum swings the other way and you get a bunch of makeup calls and some phantom calls that aren't there just to help out the team. I don't think that's going to be the situation, but it will be interesting to see if how that game is officiated. If it's officiated tightly or if it's a lot more loose because once again you have a great offense against a very, very good defense. And how, will Auburn, Arkansas be officiated is really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting matchup for a number of reasons because on one side you do have a great offense going up against an elite defense. And on the other side, you have a lackluster offense going up against one of the worst defenses in all of FBS. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see which side ends up prevailing. But, yeah, as you mentioned, going to be keeping close eyes on the officiating there.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's so much that's on tap for today, as we mentioned. There's so many things that are both in the sports world and outside of the sports world today. We'll talk some politics. Of course, we will dive a lot more into the Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier story. The FBI is involved. The Italian mafia is involved. The FBI is involved in this one. Just so many things to unpack with that story. LSU looking to avoid a second straight loss. The SEC permanently banning Ken Williamson. We'll dive a little bit more into that as well. And Tom Izzo, one of Nick Saban's good friends, he is blasting the NCAA. He's been in the game for a long time, so you have to listen to what he says. But he's blasting the NCAA on a rule that will allow G League players to play college basketball. So we will have that and so much more coming up. We will be joined by our good buddy Brian Holland once again, and as well as Noah Gross. We'll hear from him. Our favorite Maryland Terrapin, and I'll tell you what. Last week we were talking with him in the break, and our commercial breaks should be shows within themselves just because of what we get into and the topics that we get into. But talking with Noah last week, it was hilarious because he kind of forecasted his Maryland Terrapins once again and saying, you want an easy win on homecoming. Here comes Maryland.
I really thought that they were going to be able to win. I think they had the game in hand.
Yeah.
And then they just found a way to lose. And I feel like there are a number of programs right now where they find new ways to lose.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about the Mets this year. They found a new way to lose every game.
Almost get creative with losing. Just snatching loss from the jaws of victory.
It brings entertainment value because it's like, oh, let's go. Let me watch a game today and let's see how we're going to lose today.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like, okay, so what's today's storyline going to be?
Yeah, exactly.
How are we going to lose today? So it'll be really interesting to see how all of this shakes out here over the course of the next 2 hours on Southeast Sports Plus. We'll have our good buddy Brian Holland join the show coming up next. Back here on Southeast Sports Plus, a couple days away from a big slate of games in and around the SEC. Two major matchups. One of the ones that I'm the most interested in, period, is to see the way two teams that have really strong home environments in their own field, so to speak, their own stadium, so to speak. They meet up over in LSU at night. It is the number 3 team in the country, Texas A&M, heading over to LSU. We head now to Baton Rouge to catch up with our good buddy, Brian Holland. Brian, first of all, let's just quickly revisit last week. There was a lot of talk about, going over to Nashville, and obviously the drinking. You saw, if you saw the purple in the crowd, the ESPN did a great job, or ABC, I forgot the network that did a great job showing all the crowd shots. The LSU faithful really came out strong. High-scoring game, but unable to stop Diego Pavia and company late. What did you make of last week's performance and the way that they'll be able to fuel themselves going into this big matchup with the Aggies?
They really, really missed Whit Weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really just kind of the engine of that defense. And you can talk about Harold Perkins Jr., and he's going to get a lot of money to play on Sundays here in a few months. Mm-hmm. And I understand that. But I thought Harold Perkins actually had one of his worst games ever. Sometimes he's just that good of an athlete that he can just run through people. He can, completely just collapse the pocket by himself. He can take over games. We saw that as a true freshman against Arkansas, certainly, and another game in there as well. So, I mean, he was one of the most fantastic freshmen that I've ever seen. And, we watched Devin White and some of these cats run around here in Baton Rouge who are really, really good. I thought he just either didn't trust his eyes or just over-trusted his athleticism to just get over that like it usually does. But there was a play against Ole Miss that ended up in a touchdown right before the half, and it was huge for momentum for the Rebels.
Right.
And he took, inside leverage and thought, oh, this Trinidad guy, he's in his first big game in the SEC.
Yeah.
I'm going to run through this running back. I can't believe they had a running back try and pick me up. He came inside, and Chambliss went outside, and it was an easy throw for a score. I saw that a couple times in Nashville on Saturday. So he is a freak. Man, he's fun to watch. But he will chase people down but I mean, even Diego Pavia, man, at one point didn't pull away, but he got away, and Harold Perkins Jr. couldn't close the gap, and he ran for another first down. So I think he was a little bit surprised that, hey, no, I have to take that upfield shoulder every single time, that I have to trust my eyes and my keys and make sure that I'm doing with my footwork what I can do to set up not just me, but my teammates as well. Because when you pop out of a gap and you play hero ball, the good ones can get you.
Yeah, absolutely. From the offensive perspective, there's been a lot of consternation and just a lot of angst about how this offense has not been able to really kind of get on track in a way that we thought at the beginning of the season, given the fact that the only 4,000-yard thrower from a season ago was back in the fold this year. What did you make of the offense, and were there any positives that can be taken this week against Texas A&M's defense?
Look, I put this loss on the defense against Vanderbilt. They just did not play technique sound for every single play. And if you go and you look at the stats, guys, like LSU actually averaged more yards per play than Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. The problem is Vanderbilt had 18 more plays than you.
Right.
So your defense couldn't get off the field and help itself. And that's going to wear you down. I mean, it just is. LSU only had 49 plays. And it felt like Vandy had 17-play drive after 17-play drive.
Yeah.
And so I think Brian Kelly told us that before the fourth quarter, they only got the ball, 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
So, man, that's really going to rip the teeth out of your offense. I think that this was one of the best games that they ran the ball. And that's really been you talked about it, the consternation here in Baton Rouge is we're LSU. We can't just bully people at the line. We don't have the offensive line now for like a third straight year because Jaden Daniels covered up and all of the problems as we saw last year. Yep. Garrett Nussmeier and company could not run it even with those 2 great NFL tackles that are now doing really well in the league. So it's interesting. I think they committed to the run and it's looked better. And I think they got a little bit of a push. Not that Vanderbilt has some great defensive line. I think they're well disciplined. They do their job, and they make you go on the long drives. I was pretty shocked that LSU couldn't turn Vandy over a little bit more, because usually long drives means chances for turnovers,
right.
really. You know what I mean? That you have to have explosive plays in college football or someone's going to make a mistake. So I think that they've started to fix a lot of the offense, and then all of a sudden your defense jumps out, and they talk about complementary football. That's exactly what that is.
Brian, this is now 2 road SEC losses. I mean, backs are obviously up against the wall now if you want to make the college football playoff. And with all of the hype and all of the talent entering this season, to have 2 losses at this point in the year, is it time to start having conversations about Brian Kelly?
Don't think so. I had them down as a 9-3 team that would backdoor their way into the playoffs. There's still a scenario for that, guys.
Yeah.
Like, think about this game, all right? Like, you got Alabama here in a couple weeks. LSU traditionally does not do well in T-Town, okay? So if you're starting to do the math, you have to have this one.
Yep.
And I'm not a big, like, hey, the script is going to tell us what happens. You know, like, there's some all-knowing being, and refs throw games. I'm not the conspiracy theorist guy. But if you did have a college football script, how about this? The last 8 times LSU has played A&M, the home team has won. It's Saturday night in Death Valley.
Wow.
It's ABC. LSU hasn't had that marquee win just yet that they usually get right before they play Alabama. So I'm just saying, things are lining up. Like, if you're listening to Baton Rouge Sports Radio and seeing some of the emails and the comments that we get on our social media, you would think Baton Rouge was collapsing into itself, right?
Yeah.
It's just been that week. We lost to Vanderbilt. How did that happen?
Yeah.
So it's all kind of, to me, it just feels like it. Like, I grew up in Houston, okay? My Oilers were ripped from me. So I grew up watching college football, not just in the state of Texas. I watched the SEC. I mean, Saturday was huge for me, right?
Right.
Those were my Super Bowls. But in Houston, it's pretty much, my dad went to the University of Houston, but it's pretty much 90% of the people there either root for A&M or you root for UT.
Right.
Okay, that's just the geography of the landscape there. So I've watched a lot of Texas A&M football games. I've seen them in a lot of big games.
I know where you're going with this.
I just don't trust them. I don't trust
Thank you, because that makes 2 of us.
And it's Saturday night in Death Valley. No matter what you hear on Baton Rouge Radio, people are going to show up to the tailgates. There's a party. I've already gotten some emails about some of the celebrities that are going to be in town and hosting their own tailgates. It's going to be at a fever pitch. This is the one. This is the one, and it just lines up. A&M, undefeated, and then they get to the meat of the schedule in October, November. What do? They usually fall flat. Now, I like Mike Elko, but it just feels like it's all lining up, guys.
Yeah, it does, and there is one of those weird games where, and every now and again you'll just do this as a sports fan, where you take you just strip the names off, and you just literally have the helmets, the shoulder pads, and the people that are filling those bodies on the field. And you put one in LSU's uniforms, and you put one in Texas A&M's unis, and it just feels like that kind of game. Like, from a sensory standpoint, it just feels like the game that LSU said. And to your point, Brian, about Texas A&M, Patrick has been saying for the last 5 weeks that Texas A&M is going to find a way to lose a game they have number one, have no business losing, but then maybe find a way to lose another maybe 2 to 3 others, because that's just who Texas A&M is.
And finish 8-4.
And inevitable
for the bajillionth time in the last 10 years.
And so while I don't know if I see that, I do see a scenario where LSU is winning. So now take the players that are actually in this 2025 matchup. LSU's defense, as you said, coming off a really embarrassing, might be too strong of a word, but a performance they want back. And now they have yet another marquee quarterback coming back. How hungry will they be to prove we are more like the team you saw in the first 5 or 6 games than we were in the last one?
Yeah, we were talking to a defensive lineman, Ahmad Bro, and he was just saying, like, this was the lesson that we got from Pavia. You know what I mean? It's just been drilled into their head all week. They can't play tackle football. and it's been drilled into A&M's head that they're 7-0 for the first time since 1994. But you look at the players. You want to look at this actual matchup. You don't get beat by the teams that were 4 years ago.
Sure,
okay,
sure.
I get that's the coach speak out there, but it's true mostly. But look, you look at how this is matching up. The strength of LSU's defense are those defensive backs. Most passes defended in the SEC, Monster, Delane, they can neutralize those wide receivers. Great talent. But Marcel Reed, not the best thrower of the football. So A&M makes its hay on the ground. And guess what? Baton Rouge native Le'Veon Moss is out for this game for Texas A&M. He was by far the monster in that running game.
Absolutely.
I mean, they have good running backs.
Right.
But he is the feature back, and he's not going to play. So I think that means a lot. Now, Weeks also most likely will not play. Let's see what the injury reports look like leading up to the game. He's going to try and put on the pads and give it a go. I'm not thinking that's going to happen, but if you can just keep that game in a box right there, and win it there with 7 or 8 guys there in the box, you're going to give yourself a chance on Saturday night in Death Valley.
For Garrett Nussmeier specifically, what do you want to see from him as he leads this offense against Texas A&M's defense? We've seen different versions of him. Seen him a little bit more conservative towards the beginning of the year, letting it rip here late. What do you think that he will need? What maybe if you have a stat line, what will a stat line read? Or just from an execution standpoint, what do you expect from him Saturday night?
Yeah, I just want him to not take the candy. Don't take the bait. I know he likes to rip it and go for it a lot. He knows the spots where he can do that. A&M has a really good defense, but early in the ballgame, you need to convince the defense that you're willing to check it down, and that's where you get some of the windows to maybe open up later. Trust his eyes. He's been through this more than anyone else in the country. He's a coach's kid. He is a film savant. So trust the preparation, trust your guys to go out when you check it down to go make a play for you, and then trust the times that you can take a chance, because he knows.
Yeah,
he knows the risk reward value. And if you're talking about a big game in this stage, this scenario, there are a few other quarterbacks around the country that I would trust more than Garrett Nussmeier.
Absolutely. Brian, I know you have other obligations to tend to. Thank you so much for your time here on Southeast Sports Plus. Looking forward to a great one there in Death Valley.
Cannot wait, fellas. Thanks.
Absolutely. Ryan Holland joining us from Baton Rouge, and I'll tell you what, he's on to something, and I do love the fact that their sports department's a little separated.
Yeah, I know. It's one, panic.
Yeah.
I think he brought up a good point earlier when he was talking about how if you were listening to the radio, you would think the world was falling.
Correct,
and
yeah.
I think Chessa made it seem like the world was falling.
Yeah.
Brian, on the other hand, a little bit more of an optimistic standpoint.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. There's one thing I don't agree with, and I don't think that they can make it with 3 losses.
Right.
That's just the one thing that it's just like it. Yes,
right.
Vanderbilt's good this year,
Yeah.
but I think the committee's still going to be like,
Right.
I don't know.
And I think if you are going to get in with 3 losses, they have to be 3 losses against 2 of them have to be playoff teams, quality teams. The Clemson loss hurts them week by week because they keep losing games. Sorry, not Clemson. The Ole Miss,
yes.
Ole Miss loss. If Ole Miss loses again, that won't look good. I do think that you have to have, obviously, elite level losses.
I think if you were to look ahead at this schedule here real quick, if you were to, the 3 losses for the season would have to be this week at Alabama, and then maybe even at Oklahoma or Ole Miss, whoever finishes better.
Right.
I think that's the lone way you could get in with 3 losses if you're LSU.
Yeah, same. And I'm interested in this game, though, because if you listen to a lot of the professional bettors, the ones that do their own power their own power rankings, and if you look at them, whether it's through the FPI poll and things like that, LSU's a little bit better team than maybe a lot of people are giving them credit for. But obviously, people are seeing, hey, 2 losses. You can't erase 2 losses. But this game is interesting because it could be a statement game for LSU. Night game, Death Valley, it ain't easy.
It ain't easy.
It ain't easy at all. Keep it with us here on Southeast Sports Plus. Much more to come here in hour number 1 on a Thursday. Welcome back to Southeast Sports Plus. Got a great chance to talk with Brian Holland moments ago about the big matchup, LSU and Texas A&M this upcoming week. Also talked Ken Williamson, former SEC official, no longer officiating SEC games. We talked very briefly at the very top of the show, Patrick Walsh, about the big story of the day. And I'll be honest with you, as I read more and more into it, it reads like a movie script. It reads like a Hollywood movie script directed
exactly what you told me when we walked in this morning.
Directed by Martin Scorsese at that. And so if you're late to the party, if you haven't heard just yet, Portland Trail Blazers head coach Chauncey Billups, a former NBA star, an NBA champion, and a Hall of Famer, as well as Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, from the former Cleveland Cavaliers player, former Miami Heat player, as well as former Cavs assistant coach and player Damon Jones. These are three of the big names arrested today, a part of a wide-ranging investigation into both illegal sports betting and rigged poker games backed by the Mafia. That's right, the Mafia. We're talking about...
What world are we living in right now?
This is insane. This is insane. And the details make it even more insane. So... at the heart of this is two different investigations by the FBI, and the new FBI director is Kash Patel, and they are trying to root out crime both in New York and around the country as it relates to sports gambling and just illegal activity altogether. The families that are involved are the famous 5 families that are in and around the New York area, Italian and Sicilian ancestry that goes all the way back to like the 1930s here in America.
Yes.
This is a very, very old, organized crime family. Well, families, I should say. Well, 4 of the 5 families have now been tied to these 2 investigations and the big names that are in the sports world. Of course, the sports world is the one that drew the attention from all of us here in the actual sports world. But it's interesting today, 34 people arrested in total, and what Kash Patel, the FBI director, called it mind-boggling fraud in all of today's stuff. And so
it's a good way to put it. This is mind-boggling.
Yes, it is. It is. And as for some of the details, Terry Rozier, he was implicated as far as having a betting insider information, and it's pointed specifically to a game in March of 2023.
And he was already investigated for this.
Yes,
the
exactly.
NBA cleared him of any wrongdoing, and now, it almost makes you wonder, how deep did that NBA investigation go?
Right, and how long had it been going on, and if the NBA ended up doing a full investigation, or maybe not digging deep enough into how all these things went. But Terry Rozier, apparently in March 2023, he tells an accomplice, hey, I'm going to fake an injury, bet all my unders. More than $200,000 were put on it. He ends up winning the money. And of course, this is illegal. That's the game. He exits early because of a foot issue. Better discuss that Rozier would exit the game, citing that insider information. Unusual amount of prop bets on Rozier, mostly on the under, because obviously if the average is about 17.
Yes.
I just kind of eyeballed at what he was averaging into that game. It was probably anywhere between 16 points and maybe 20 points per game on average. He knew he was going to leave. Obviously makes it easy for an under prop bet. He tells his buddies, they collect the cash, and then here we are today. And this is a guy, Terry Rozier, who signed a 4-year, $96 million deal.
It's not like he's some guy that's a two-way guy going back and forth between the G League that just needs to make some money to help his family out. No, this guy's already got money. So what are we doing here?
Absolutely.
I'm honestly stunned.
Yes.
I'm shocked.
Yes, me too. And even if you're just trying to hook up your buddies with a gambling bet, I mean, don't do it on yourself. Like, these things always come to the light. They always do. Everything that's done in the darkness will come to the light. And we've seen this now in a lot of different ways. And point shaving in basketball, we're not going to act like it started with this NBA investigation.
Right.
This has gone on for decades now.
Yes.
Since the early 70s. And the Mafia being involved. What ends up usually happening is that a guy makes a one-day agreement with the Mafia or somebody that's in the Mafia. And then the Mafia has you hooked. Because now they can always hold it against you that they will tell the proper authorities, and now you have to comply. I'm not saying that's what happened here. I'm just saying that this is the way that it usually does happen. We saw Arizona State and a few other point-shaving scandals.
And here's an interesting thing that I literally just saw. So ESPN, on their Get Up segment today, removed their ESPN Bet logo.
Yeah.
So I wonder, You know, I was also reading some comments, and some people were like, "Oh, I wonder how many DraftKings sponsorships or ads we're going to see tonight with the NBA games."
Yeah, well, it was interesting because I mean, you can't turn on a television these days.
No,
isn't LeBron James and Kevin Hart, aren't they on a commercial for DraftKings right now? Like I saw Shaq with Kevin Hart on a commercial for the NBA. Gambling is everywhere, and one of the things I said, and I'll zoom out just a little bit, so to speak. The thing about gambling in America is the fact that it was done for decades in these very seedy, you had to have a bookie that's in a back alley.
Right.
Unless you're in Atlantic City or in Las Vegas where you could bet legally, you had to do it kind of underground.
Yeah.
And now everything has shifted because now not only are the DraftKings, the FanDuels, and the sites that started as fantasy now opening sportsbooks, we have sportsbooks everywhere now, both on the mainland and offshore. The ones that are offshore aren't obviously regulated the exact same way, but still, I mean, it's an easy paper trail to follow. And now that it's regulated, it can be taxed, and now it's a legal practice. But what we've done is we've shifted the pendulum so far the other way is that I don't think America was ready for gambling to be this wide open, this widespread, and billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars in money now comes to both all these leagues and all these individual teams and players and obviously fans as well.
I think I've said to you a couple times before, if I were to ever just stumble upon $10 million, if I ever were to like hit the lottery or something, just go open up a sports book at this point.
Yes.
I mean, like, with how much it's just exploded over the last few years.
Right.
I know ESPN for the longest time, they denied anything. They would not allow anything to go out about gambling and betting and stuff. And now they have their own sports book.
Yes, exactly. And as the laws got laxed as far as being able to punish a sports betting, and as the states found out, oh, hey, here's a revenue stream. Let's open this water spigot and let's let all this money shovel in a legal way. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to act like I'm on some high horse. I love gambling. I love to bet.
Yeah,
I love betting on sports. I bet. Yes, I didn't bet yesterday, but I will bet today. I'll bet some games on Saturday. We're doing it all legally, doing it all above board. And I have no insider information. I'm just coming in thinking that, well, you know what, Brian Kelly and them can pull the upset. Now, in my opinion, where this does get a little shady and a little seedy is the fact that you now have athletes who can control the outcome of games.
Yes.
Now not knowing where the line is. Either they don't know it or they blatantly ignore it. And I think a lot of them, confidence is the way that you get to the top of your sport.
Yes.
And having almost a delusional sense of self is a way that a lot of these people say, I'm the best of the best, I'm the 1%. It gets them there to that territory. And I wonder if it's that same mindset that makes them go into areas where they know they shouldn't go. Because for most of these guys, they all went to college.
Right.
And the one thing they tell you in college all the time, they'll hammer in your head, don't bet on it, don't bet on it, don't bet on it. And they tell you everything. Don't bet on anything. If you're a college player, don't bet on baseball. Don't bet on football. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that, but it does open a door for that to be something that, you know, can harm you in the future. And unfortunately, too many times we have seen this again and again and again.
And it's just so frustrating because it can easily be prevented by just not doing it.
Yep.
I mean, how are we still at the point where we've seen all of the outcomes? We've seen Jonte Porter get banned for life.
Yeah.
We're seeing it in the MLB right now. Emmanuel Clase and Luis Ortiz they're probably going to get banned for life. Saw it back in like the 1930s with the Black Sox.
Yes, right.
I mean, what are we doing? Like, why are we still doing this?
And
I just don't understand.
I've never understood it, and I think a lot of it always comes back to greed, and you know, and whether it's because for a Terry Rozier, to me, his situation makes no sense. And we'll dive into the Chauncey Billups one because that is a separate case that is just even. You
want to go into it right now because I mean
sure.
I'm shocked by this.
Yes. So on the Chauncey Billups case, it's a different operation here in this one. Goes back to an illegal poker operation that was tied to the mafia, and this thing was high tech.
Yeah, you want to take a look at this?
There were X-ray machines that were built into the tables, reading cards that were face down. There was players that were involved that were called the Fish. These are high dollar players that wanted to rub shoulders with millionaires, rub shoulders with current and former pro athletes, basketball players, football players, and you get a guy like Chauncey Billups, and a guy that's like, okay, well, we'll play poker together, and that was the end. To be able to get the hook on the bait on the hook, so to speak. Now they have their fish, and now they're reeling them in. They're reeling them in with all this money, and the games are rigged, and it's all now led by the mafia. And one of the big things that kind of blew me was just high tech this entire operation was. I mean, we're talking about contact lenses. We're talking about glasses,
secret cameras, X-ray machines.
I mean, and all this to swindle people out of millions and millions and millions of dollars. For a guy like we said, Kash Patel, the FBI director, talked about this. The names, the quote-unquote sexy names that are on top of this thing, is the reason why the FBI, if you watched their press conference today, they were just absolutely insane. The names at the top of the thing will draw the headlines of the sports fans. However, Simone Eli, as you join us today, this...
Good afternoon, guys.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going great. This, to me, felt like one of those things where I'm only left asking, typically, when quick aside, when Dejounte Murray, who is a two-way player who's not making a lot of money, when he's involved in a point-shaving scandal, I understand it. I'm like, okay, well, don't do it. It's illegal. You're probably going to lose your career, but I understand it.
Sure.
This situation has made me say why 15 times.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Well, I think that there's a couple things to remember here, right? So they've all been indicted, right? So
That's
everyone in this country is innocent.
Yes.
Until proven guilty.
Yep.
So let's, I'll remember that part of it, of course. But it is interesting to read the detail. And I think I was one thing I mentioned to you and Patrick when we were first I was learning about this and kind of asking you guys, like, what does all of this entail? Like, how is this this intricate? How many people are involved and going on and on? It is kind of mind-blowing. And not just who or how, or not really just who, but really the how. To me, it's okay, yes, this is somebody who made how much money?
More than $100 million.
Okay, so
in Rozier's case, and probably close to that in Bill's case.
And Hall of Famer, I mean, you have reputation. That's there's so many things that get put on the line when you start to get involved in these sort of things that you certainly start to just wonder, okay, like why do you want to get involved? Why is this something that is attractive to people that you conceivably have a ton of money? You never know their situation.
Sure.
Once you start getting in gambling debts, we've seen that in baseball. You get in situations that aren't great, and then you start to just do more of that to try to combat what you've already gotten a part of, and that's usually how this goes. But again, I think it's just shocking to see the amount of detail, the amount of what is taking place to really get to this point. I mean, when you look at like you mentioned, the contact lenses, the X-ray tables.
Yes.
What? I mean, to me, that's what I'm most impressed by is the how more than I am anything else is how all of this went about. But again, obviously it's going to go be in the courts for however long. This is what we've seen for, through all these celebrities that have done kind of silly things. It gets drawn out, and then you see how it ends up. So.
And I think obviously when you invoke the Italian and Sicilian
that was crazy.
Mafia into it too, there is a level of theatrics that kind of plays out on the larger stage. And the FBI, their main job, they want to root out organized crime.
Sure.
Because the FBI, I mean, in the grand scheme of crimes, this one's very small. In the grand scheme of just criminal behavior, this one is small. But what the Mafia has been tied to in the past, I think that's what they're trying to get rid of, and they've just stumbled on a gold mine.
When you can go have these people who folks who recognize, like if you go just have, if this was just out there and it was Joe Schmo off the street,
right,
okay, or it was Patrick Walsh, right? They're like, okay, who's this guy, right? Running this operation, right? But when you go tie it to an NBA Hall of Famer, an NBA coach, a current NBA player, or in the case of two separate cases or whatever, and these are the guys that are allegedly involved in these situations, then it takes a whole new, people, it really captures people's attention, and wow, it's like, okay, this takes a whole new life form when it's not just such and such up the block. So when you can tie your case to names like that, then you start to scare maybe some folks straight, maybe.
I mean, it as is. Like, we're already concerned about the integrity in sports right now. I mean, we just talked about Jonte Porter being banned 2 years ago. The two guys in the MLB that are currently under investigation probably going to get banned. And this just adds a whole nother layer to it. I mean, it's shocking.
What I thought was funny, guys, is like, just yesterday, they officially determined that college athletes and college coaches can bet on pro sports. I mean, we're opening Pandora's box, y'all. It is like, how can we just open, like, it's like when you shake a soda, and you just open the top and you're like, boom.
It's everywhere.
Let's see what happens. It's going to, I mean, you talk about just because what happens to great college athletes? They go to the pros. I don't know, how that works. You're great in college, and then you go to the pros. You don't lose the people that are there in college necessarily. In fact, especially some of these folks that are a little bit sketchy, they're hanger-oners, right? You go to the pros, they're right there. Hey, like, hey man, hey, you know how we had that little deal about so and so, with the Knicks back when you were playing over at Boston College.
Yeah.
Well, now you're with the Knicks, so you want to maybe we're with the Knicks now, and they're at Boston College. You could do it then. Can we do it now? And maybe you can just sit out this game?
Yeah.
You think it's not going to happen?
No, and it does happen.
Absolutely, it's going to happen.
And if you go back, Patrick and I were talking about it, point shaving is not anything new. I mean, this has been going on for decades, especially when it ties to the mafia. And this is the genesis of it. I'm not saying this happened in this case, but this is the genesis of it, and this is the reason why it can get really sticky. It's because the mafia comes up to a guard who might owe a little bit of money and says, hey, your prop bet is X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Your prop bet is X amount of points. Make sure you're under. Or the team is supposed to win by X amount of points. Make sure it's under. Or it's over. If you need to, score a bucket late, a lot of times it's the under because that's the one you can't control. You can control misses, not always can control makes. Usually what happens is the first time it happens, the player thinks, okay, I did it, I fulfilled it, I've made my money. No, you've now opened it. Yep. Because now the mafia has that over your head the entire time moving forward. I'll tell your coach, I'll tell the cops.
So you're solidifying what I just mentioned about the college guys being able to be a part of this, and then what that can mean if you are then have ties to the league at some point. I mean, it just opens up a lot of iffiness. Right. I mean, what you're saying right now, you're spot on, and I think personally, we're starting to see, and you told me this years ago. You're like, Simone, you want to learn a little bit about betting. You might want to learn a little bit about gambling because it's going to get crazy. And I feel like this is something that's in the headlines more often than it's not nowadays. There is just blowing up the capacity in which we are seeing illegal sports gambling, betting shows. I mean, you name it.
Yes.
It is just everywhere now. It's so in front of your face. If you're not doing it, you're me, and you're like, on the outside looking in. One
of the most ironic things was watching the coverage today and watching it on sports networks. And I'm not going to say the sports networks by name because everybody is now taking money from the sports gambling world. So I'm not going to pinpoint anybody. Heck, this show might be sponsored at some point by a gambling operation. But one of the things I found...
DraftKings.
It's
the only one that I know.
But sincerely speaking of DraftKings, it's not crazy to watch an ESPN show, and in that commercial break is Kevin Hart and LeBron James out here cracking
Gerhard.
jokes about gambling. And I saw it with Shaquille O'Neal.
DraftKings?
Yes.
There is a sports network named after FanDuel.
Yes.
FanDuel has the naming rights on a sports network.
Right.
That's how crazy it's gotten.
And ESPN has ESPN Bet. And I just think what happened was in this country, and this might just take a while, in this country, gambling was so seedy back in the day. The way that you used to be able to gamble, and I'm not going to get into all the details of the way that I got into it to begin with, but it used to be...
Into gambling or into talking about gambling?
Into gambling. Talking about gambling, I think I've been doing since I was in college. But it used to be, meet a bookie at the brown paper bag at the alley on a Tuesday. And if you won a couple hundred...
in Tennessee when they were giving the guy money and like...
No, the McDonald's bags. It's the McDonald's bag's cousin. That was how you handled it.
It ain't too far off. It's all right there.
It's how you handled it at the beginning.
Same family.
And now it is way more mainstream. But you're trying to play two things because you're also telling the college athlete, hey, we will allow you to bet on professional games. But just like you said, if your roommate is now a player in the NBA and they know the game plan against whoever...
We can walk away with $200,000 if you just decide to, miss 4 layups and leave with a broken ankle. All right?
I'll tell you, Johnny B wasn't in the scouting report. Might want to go under on all his bets.
And Johnny B's name is LeBron. All right, guys. Patrick's telling us to go to break because we're going to get into Pandora's box even more so on this show. We'll be right back in 2.5. Stay with us. Welcome back in Southeast Sports Plus, wrapping up hour one. Gerhard, what did we talk about? Because I just got here 4 minutes ago, and so it's been a busy day behind the scenes, getting ready for our newscast.
We mentioned the fact that there was a lot of off-the-field topics in today's show. We talked about Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, also Ken Williamson, and a story that broke yesterday in the SEC. And we caught up with Brian Holland about the LSU Texas A&M match.
Been a good hour so far, and Pat's got another hour stacked up for us, P. Walsh.
Yeah, another hour. Why are you laughing at me? See, this is what happens. She comes in, she just laughs at me and just makes fun of me. I mean, that's just how it be.
You got to change my super. That's the role that I play.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we going to break right quick? How much time we got left?
We got 15 seconds.
15 seconds.
Say something to the world.
Another hour on tap, guys. You got 15 seconds. Hour number 2 coming at you in just a minute as we look ahead to week 9 of the college football season and plenty more just around the corner. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Outbound transmission?
Affirmative.
Crew ready?
Check.
Signal lock?
Check.
Downstream stations online?
Linked and locked.
Let's light this candle.
Flame on.
In 3, 2, roll show open.
In our neck of the woods, sports is tradition. Sports is passion. Sports is family. Sports is fun. Welcome to our house. This is Southeast Sports Plus live with Simone and Gerhard Mathangani.
Welcome into hour 2 here of Southeast Sports Plus here on a Thursday. And how about this? Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo, he's teeing off on the NCAA. It feels like he's always got something to say, right, Simone?
When you're legendary like that, you can. Like, Gerhard.
One of the goats.
Are you implying
that sounded a little too like I wouldn't even have meant that out of my own mouth.
Are you implying that Gerhard's a goat?
Yes, Gerhard is a goat. There's
Gossies.
no question about that. That's goat of all goats. There's no doubt. So what is Tom Izzo upset about, Patrick?
Yeah, so Tom Izzo is upset because there are 2 G League former athletes. So if you don't know what the G League is, it's kind of like the NBA's version of the minor leagues.
It's like a developmental league.
Yeah, the developmental league. The NCAA is allowing 2 players that played in the G League to come to the NCAA if they sit out a year and play in the 26-27 season, which it's like, what are we getting to at this point?
So there's a team that's already recruiting them, or someone they're committed to, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so one athlete here is London Johnson. He's already committed to Louisville, and he spent 3 seasons in the G League.
How old is this guy?
Well, the G League can come right out of high school.
Yeah,
so,
but how old? Still though.
I don't know, but I would just figure 19. I would figure either 19 or 20 years old.
Okay, so he's not.
About the
So
age of the
he went
college
there
guys.
immediately.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there was a program called G League Ignite, which that was kind of the NBA's gateway to be like, hey, you don't have to play in
Correct.
college.
Correct.
You can play in somewhere else too. But now that's a defunct
Well,
league.
here's what I would say. I'm not trying to play devil's advocate here, but my point is now they're paying guys, right? So the NCAA is paying guys.
Yes.
That was the holdup before.
That's right.
That would have kept guys from being able to go from the G League to back to playing college ball. And I say back meaning like, hey, you're a professional. Once you took money, you could no longer play college sports.
Correct.
That was the rule.
Right. Correct.
Now the NCAA, 15 years too late or longer, they're not paying guys. So now we've opened, again, Pandora's box for allowing all of these things. So who's to say if the reason that these guys couldn't play has now been eliminated, and they have not, by the rule of the rule, they have not used any sort of eligibility, right? Which is 4 and 5 or whatever it is, right? So they haven't started their clock. So the NCAA either needs to change their rules because they fit within the rules. Who's to say they can't do it? You're no longer a pro making money. You can't come back because they're paying money, okay? And you haven't started your eligibility clock, then you should be able to play.
Then you should be able to play.
I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying it's just by the rule. It's the rule allows it, then the rule is the rule.
Well, this is the reason why we're seeing the leaks as far as eligibility goes. We're seeing it as it relates to JUCO, and now we're seeing it as it relates to professional basketball because this is not the NBA, and you will never see an NBA guy go back to college. It's ridiculous. But what this is a kind of akin to me to is when a guy plays another sport, let's say he plays baseball for a little bit and comes back to play football. Now, everybody will say, well, he's older. He's 23, 25, 27, 29. I looked up Thierry Donnie. He is 21. So, I mean, he's about the same age. He's a college age guy. But I think
21,
21, you're a senior?
21.
Senior?
You should be a freshman in your first job.
Yeah.
I mean,
instead of
you should be.
Instead of if you graduate high school, if you graduate high school at 18 years old, you're 19 as a freshman,
at 21,
20 as a sophomore.
I was accepting my first job. I was in April. I was an April baby, right? April 30th.
So you're late.
So I turned 20. Late, nothing. No, it's normal. It's normal. I wasn't late. I was normal.
If you graduate high school at 21 years old, I don't think that's abnormal.
High school?
Sorry, I mean college. If you
College,
graduate college at 21 years old, I don't think it's abnormal.
I don't think it is either. It's not abnormal to graduate at 21. I think it's abnormal to be going and starting your college clock at 21.
Yeah,
I would say he's old. If he was 19, okay, he's not.
Right.
He's 21.
And
he's a grown man. Go get a job, dog. Go get a job, dog.
And I think part of the reason why Izzo might be upset,
because he's a traditionalist, because he's old too.
He is old. He is a traditionalist. Is that college players have rules that they have to abide by. The NCAA still limits your practice time. It tells you the time you have to be able to go to study hall. If you're in the G League, you can play basketball all day long.
Dude, yeah.
And so you have not been subjected to the same laws, the same rules as college basketball players.
No
question.
question.
So if you're playing in the G League for 2 years, you've been a professional athlete for the last 2 years.
Yep.
And I think that it kind of gives an unfair advantage. And what kind of Pandora's box are we opening? But like you said, the NCAA has painted themselves in this situation with these eligibility things to come up.
Bubba Thompson. So
correct, yes.
Bubba Thompson is a Mobile native, right? So we're based out here in Mobile.
Yeah.
He graduated high school. So let's see how old Bubba Thompson is.
He's unking
wow,
that locker room now.
Something's happening back here. He really is unk. There's no doubt. So he's 27. He's 27 years old.
Yeah.
All right. He went and played how many years in Major League Baseball.
I think it said 7.
A lot.
Yeah,
Several
6 or
years.
7.
He graduated high school and went and played Major League Baseball. I mean, literally was with the Rangers, was with the Reds, has come back, and now at South Alabama, he is on the football team. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think there was one of the first conversations that he and I had was exactly what you're talking about. You have to go to school. You have to maintain grades. You have to go live in this box of that you didn't have to live in beforehand.
Right.
And I don't think that was an easy transition back into this world of being a student, which he had not been in several years.
Yeah, Chris Rinke won the Heisman Trophy doing the exact same thing. It's the exact same route that Bubba went.
Yeah.
In the pros for a lot of times playing professional baseball, came back to college, won the Heisman Trophy. And yes, there is, in my opinion, there is some, if a guy wants to go get an education and go play basketball, I'm not against that. I just think that the college space was made for something that we're seeing little by little it's being stripped away from.
Yep.
It was meant for a developmental space where guys can go in and I hate to use the old Nick Saban quotes, but develop as a person and as an athlete.
It's what school mattered?
Yes.
What school?
Now
what school?
It's not school. These are employees. These are employees of the university. Yeah. Period. It's completely transactional.
Listen, this was the NCAA didn't give. They didn't give. They didn't give. They didn't give. And then they got.
Yep.
And then now they're trying to put toothpaste back in the tube on a lot of things, be it NIL, be it transfer portal. They didn't give. They didn't budge on anything for the longest time. Then everything exploded, and now we're losing the reason that we had college athletics to begin with, which was to have a student athlete. Student athlete.
Yep.
Doesn't exist anymore.
Yep.
I know that Tom Izzo went off on this. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I'm going to get myself in trouble, but I listen to people talk of how kids changed. Kids aren't the problem. We're the problem. This was sprung on us again yesterday, where a guy can be in the G League for 2 or 3 years, and then all of a sudden he's eligible. Most of my people knew nothing about it. I don't think our commissioner. I mean, I'm not real excited about the NCAA or whoever's making these decisions without talking to us, just letting it go because they're afraid they're going to get sued. So you're right. I said that this really bothers your coach if you're Michigan State fans. But if you want a silver lining in the cloud, I am going to call Magic tonight. I'm going to call Jaren Jackson, Miles, Gary, Max. You know, this just goes to show you how ridiculous people that are in power make decisions. I mean, you know, and I'm going to get killed because someone's going to say, well, if they go pro, it doesn't work out, shouldn't they be able to come back? Well, what about the freshman you recruited there? That's somebody's son. And he thinks he's got himself a good place, and then all of a sudden, shazam, they pull out of their hat and bring a 21 or 22-year-old in. To me, it's ridiculous. To me, it's embarrassing. And I love my job. I don't respect my profession. And I don't respect who's ever doing that. Whoever made those decisions, because they're afraid that a lawyer's going to sue them, sooner or later, you got to fight the fight.
That was harder than I thought. I mean, and Patrick said that he went off, and I read some of it in print, but hearing him talk about it,
yeah, that was a whole nother level.
In a gym full of reporters, so it wasn't like any kind of prepared statement. So
No.
this is the kind of Izzo that I love.
Oh yeah,
it's off the cuff.
Absolutely,
It's
it's authentic. It's authentic.
Yes.
It's who he is, and he's speaking to me, he was just speaking to like you said, why we have college athletics, why we have college basketball, the integrity, the purpose, the reason behind developing young people into not only great athletes, but great people, great young men. And like he mentioned, what do you do with the freshman that you recruited who thought he had a spot? I mean, he's not wrong. What I'm saying is the rule is allowing, or someone being afraid, like he mentioned, of being too happy, which was what we're seeing nowadays. But sometimes you're put in a position of power to be powerful, to make decisions that are hard, to stand by what a rule is, or to change the rule if it doesn't abide by the reason for, I don't know, the 10 commandments of why it is you're doing what you're doing. Change the rule.
Right, exactly. And some people might call me an old head for this. I don't really care. But when Nick Saban and Tom Izzo, who are great friends, by the way,
Yeah.
because they coached at Michigan State together, still great friends to this day. When those guys entered the coaching profession, it wasn't for money. The job and their surroundings all exploded in the time that they were coaches. And it went through a sea change. So they went into coaching knowing that, hey, we are there to develop young people to be professionals, because for Izzo is 97% of his roster. For Nick Saban, maybe 80% of his roster.
Yep.
They were not going to go see professional dollars.
Sure.
They were not going to be pros. They were going to be guys that they started recruiting at 16 years old.
Yep.
They walked into their house. They ate too many meals with mama, and they got them to sign in early February. Then they developed them. They had hard days in the summer. They had to yell at them.
Yep.
And then next thing you know, they're on the NFL draft stage or the NBA draft stage.
Yeah.
That is the world that Tom Izzo, that is the world that Nick Saban walked into.
Absolutely.
And as Nick Saban's already left, and Izzo, obviously, he's on the back nine of his career, I think that there are a lot of...
He's like putting on 18, dog.
there is a lot of...
And I love Tom Izzo, by the way.
Me too.
I mean, I'm not saying I
Me
don't love
too.
it. It's just like when this day and age, stuff like that, you're going to do that so many times.
Yeah.
You're not going to put yourself in the ground earlier just because people don't want to, make the right call or abide by a rule or change a law to do something that makes sense for the betterment of college athletics.
Correct.
At some point, you're going to say, you know what? Y'all keep this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go to the beach.
Right.
Like Coach Saban did.
Exactly.
I'm going to go to the beach.
And now, Coach Saban mentioned this on the way out. He said that, and he talked about this plenty of times, that the conversations went from, how can I develop, to how much are you paying me and when can I play? And I'm sure that Izzo's getting a lot of the same things in the basketball realm as well. Hey, how much are you going to pay me? That's determining me to going there. Not can you build me up and be the next Magic Johnson, who he coached, and other guys like that. And
those days are. I mean, there's no loyalty. There's no loyalty right now. These college coaches are very frustrated. They're coming it is coming at them. They're taking L's every day. Even if they're winning games, they're taking L's.
Yep.
It is so difficult right now to coach at that level. It is so hard. I don't care if you are P4. I don't care if you're G7. I don't care what it is, the level that you're playing. You're either losing guys over here. You're trying to make guys at G5 level happy so they don't go to the P4. You got the P4s shifting around wherever they want to go. It's complete free agency. I mean, so now you add in the fact that a guy can go the G League route, pro.
Let's just call it what it is. They went pro.
He can go pro.
Yeah.
And go back. What happened to don't bet on it?
Yeah.
What happened to don't bet on it? What happened to all those posters that they had when we went to the NCAA basketball tournament? Don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Don't bet. Don't go pro. Don't blink. Don't breathe. Don't talk. Like, and now it's like, you know what? Do whatever you want.
Yes. The NCAA used to be this like bastion of amateurism. Oh, we're amateur. We are the last line of defense here against the pros. Against the professionals.
We are it. This is the last true integrity. This is the pure for the love of the sport. And you know what? I bought into all that too. I'm like, this is why I love covering college sports. I love the high school level. Shoot, they're paying high school kids. I know how to do taxes. No, they don't have a wallet.
I always thought it was crazy.
I hardly do taxes.
I thought it was crazy because a lot of those were tied to Olympic sports, obviously. That was crazy because a lot of when they call them Olympic sports, are swimmers, equestrians, or whatever. They won a gold medal. They could not go take money from
insanity
Kleenex to go sponsor a brand. Missy Franklin, she became a professional because she wanted to go to Stanford, but she couldn't take any of the money. And so now, is it great now that I see Suni Lee be able to help Auburn try to win a national championship and win a gold medal and be on the cover of Sports Illustrated magazine? Is that great? Yes. Is letting a G League player come play college basketball, is that great? No. And
we didn't do
we're
things
in
that
the
made
middle
sense.
of finding that line.
We didn't do things that made sense for so long. You guys, I was 4 years removed. No, 5 years. Might have been 6. 5 or 6 years removed from college sports. Okay, when I got a knock on my door. All right. Not really. I got a letter. Okay, but I had to put the letter.
The knock on the door sounds better. I'm going with that.
That said, we are retroactively paying student athletes who graduated prior to 2012, and we're paying them their cost of living, which, by the way, we didn't get anything. I mean, I was pretty much begging the cute boy down the road to get me Chipotle because they didn't give us anything. And your girl just had to have her Chipotle fix, okay? And like, we didn't have any money, okay? And I got the knock, and it was like, we're going to retro. At 27, I mean, I was like, married, the NCAA wrote me a like $6,000 check.
Yeah.
That's how ridiculous, how dumb things were for so long.
Yeah.
They weren't paying us. They weren't giving us a cost of living expenses. So
Right.
I had rent, I had to eat. We got the dining hall. We got scholarships. I'm not saying I wasn't grateful.
Right.
I just lived the way that the system was set up
Inside
to live.
the bubble.
I can say this: we didn't leave campus during the Christmas break. It was like it was like ghost town, right?
Yeah.
So we would be there, and our coaches would give us $150 cash, okay, which we were allowed to have, by the way. So you can't retroactively try to turn me into whatever. I played like 2 games my entire senior year, okay. And they gave us $150, okay. We would take that to the mall, and we would get UGG boots, okay, for like $110, and then we would live off the other 40. I swear to God.
I can see Simone in the UGG store being like, "What's the taxes on this? Can I get lunch
That's
next
the
week?"
only tax I knew how to do to this day. I'd be like, okay, how am I going to spread this other $40, all that I have, over the week and a half that the little food, the food
the
court.
per diem?
Per diem.
Yeah, that's all we got, okay?
Yeah.
$150. I spent $110 on my UGG boots. Okay?
Oh my God, bro. Hang on a second. Let me do some quick math here. I can't do it in my head.
So I would have $40 from the per diem, right? So we were
110
eating
into
PB&Js just so we could get those damn UGG boots. I swear to God.
Ladies and gentlemen, 73% of
They
that $150.
They weren't messing around in Ohio.
We're going to Uggs. We're going to Uggs.
Bro, this is God on God, as the kids say. And so then, at 27, 5 years into a full-time job,
Right.
2 years into marriage, then somebody's like, "Hey, we're gonna send you that $6,000 we should have given you in college to live off of."
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for playing in our tournament. Thank you, ma'am, for
Exactly.
gracing our courts. And here's a little bit of the money back.
But we upheld amateurism.
Amateurism. That's what.
We made sure that you stayed true to amateurism.
And if social
you love
media
your
was a money making platform then, if you took a dime of the Zuck bucks at the time, you were gone. You were kicked off your team.
Don't bet on it.
You were kicked off your team. Don't bet on it. Don't take any money.
Now they're saying
Play
bet
the
on
sport.
everything. Bet on it all. Bet it all and bet on all of it. We're gonna take a quick break, guys. We've got plenty more to come on this show. We're gonna talk about one guy who, man, he's regularly out here, saying things, clickbaity type things, Lane Kiffin and company. We'll have that and much more. Stay with us.
Well, I think that's two-part. I think one, it's phenomenal prep. A film study of signals. I mean, as I just tell you how it is. I think they do a great job of that. So if you study people really well, you know tendencies, and then you have enough confidence as a coach to go after those, that seems what he does. And seems like, they've got a really good beat on the plays that are coming when they're called. And they do a great job of going and taking those away. I mean, you look at the Auburn game, I told Hugh after the game watching it, you might want to switch the signals. Like, it looks like they have the plays. The middle safety's running down to steal slants, which is very abnormal.
Lane Kiffin, with some aggressive words towards Oklahoma's game prep, sitting here saying that the Sooners, Brent Venables and company, are looking at signals on film. I want to make sure that I heard all of that properly. What's the latest that we have on what it is that Lane is accusing the Sooners of here?
It's funny because he used his words very carefully, because he did not use the word sign stealing. Of course, that has, obviously, you think about Michigan and you think about all that they went through. I think he was very calculated not using the words, stealing signs. But he did say that they do a great job of studying their opponent's signals and understanding what's coming up. He brought up the Auburn example. Then on the SEC teleconference, I just read that on the SEC teleconference a little bit later on, he softened the language a little bit, saying they're good information gatherers, which obviously it's just another way of saying sign stealing.
Did he say this is happening while they're watching film?
He is saying that
while they're like sitting on the sideline, that they're like recording videos.
That's the ambiguous part, because it's not like he is saying that there's a Connor Stallions out there in the bleachers with binoculars, but he is also saying, hey, when the safety runs down and knows exactly where to go, when none of his reads in any other defense says he's supposed to go there in the Auburn game, that means they know where the football is. Let's just keep it a buck, though, as Cam Ward would say.
That's like the third time I've heard that since then. I'm gonna keep it a buck.
Stealing signs on the college sideline is not illegal.
Okay,
you can do it.
That was my next point.
This
is stealing signs. Okay,
correct.
Watching game film and watching someone's signal.
Right.
In the words of my husband, who coaches football, it's stupid if you don't. He says he has two coaches now. They're not very good, meaning like our team is not very good. Like his team is not very good. That's not the point. The point is, they have two coaches who watch film, and they literally go watch the signs that are on film. It's right there.
Yes.
There's no rule. It's right. What are you gonna say? Oh, someone take a sticky note and put it there on the sideline so we can't see what the coaches are doing. No.
No.
Now, if you get Connor Stallions and you got him in the thing and he's doing this and just like that, we're having a different conversation here, okay? Yes. But so that's why I'm wondering, what is it that Lane Kiffin is actually insinuating Oklahoma is doing or not doing? Because if they're studying signs, I don't really see where. Is there maybe you shouldn't be able to sleep good at night because of it? Or
I do think
integrity.
I do think Lane does want to keep in mind for the Oklahoma fans, and also let the officials know, and also anybody that might be looking at this program from the outside looking in, that hey, these people are doing it. Now, whether that person is unknown, whether he thinks that there is an unknown hand, so to speak, out there, which of course that would be illegal.
Yeah.
Or if it's just the coaches doing it. But he's also doing it kind of tongue-in-cheek as well, because he's also saying, hey, they're good information gatherers, letting his own team know, hey, guys, we got to be buttoned up. And we've seen every college game you go to, you see these crazy signs, and there are four squares, and it's four random things. And the reason why they do that now is because it is so difficult these days to be able to change your. It's not really so difficult, but it's difficult to be able to change signs day to day. So you could just point to the Yoshi on the sign instead of doing that. So, in my opinion, is it wrong? No. Is this Lane being Lane? A little bit. Does it give me more interest in this game when Oklahoma's on defense and Ole Miss is on offense? Absolutely.
Yeah, and I will say this too, just as someone who had to sit in game prep, it's our coaches would tell us a lot of stuff, and we'd watch film and do all that, and I didn't play college football, but this even adds to it. It's hard to remember your own things. It's hard week by week when you're game planning specifically for an opponent because of what their personnel is. So you're going to go inside of the post. I play college basketball. You go inside of the post, or you're going to run a 2-3 defense instead of man-to-man, or you're going to press versus not press. It's hard just to remember what it is you're doing, let alone remembering what someone else is doing on top of that, and trying to also then fit the right gaps. I mean, there's so many things that go into game prep. I'm not saying that there's not an advantage in going and memorizing signs or studying what people are doing, but the execution of combating that is still very, very difficult for anybody preparing week to week for these folks.
Right, and I think there's a gray area because, I mean, I go back to very rudimentary high school scouting, and I mean, there would be certain things that linemen would do that would tip if it's a run or a pass. I mean, there are certain small things that you could just pick up on just by watching one day of film. Now, it does get kind of crazy. It's just like gambling. It can start small and innocent, and it can end up like Connor Stallions in a place where it takes away from the integrity of the game. Now, I do think here in this situation, Ole Miss would be dumb if they don't change their signals. If they do have signals.
Did you hear what he said about that?
About the signals? About changing their signals?
Yeah. Someone asked him if he's going to change, which of course he's not going to actually answer this straight up. He said, nah, we're going to keep our same signals. Chuckling. He said, that's a really good question, and competitively, I can't answer that for you.
but also keep in mind they do have the in helmet now conversation. They have the in helmet technology now, where Lane is talking directly to Trinidad Chambliss or Austin Simmons into his helmet. It does mitigate that a little bit. But to say that I'm interested now, much more now, because this is like I love these two kind of geniuses on opposite sides of the football.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin has helped Bama win a national championship, and Brent Venables helped Clemson win national championships. And so, yes, there is kind of a chess match within here that I'm really interested in.
I do think that offensive coaches are particularly, not many but hurt, but they're particularly particular about any sort of sign of game prep. Just, you know how it is. They just get very antsy about, I mean, we go to high school practices and they're like, please do not film all 22 guys. I can promise you, at no point of me getting film of your very quick session here for me to be a player of the week or whatever is going on, am I getting all 22 guys and then sending it to your opponents you have 2 days from now, and they're watching the news or locally to game prep for this game, but take a breather, guys. It's always the offensive coaches.
Every time.
Especially the ones in Saraland.
Every time we're told this, and people that are in our industry that go to college or professional practices or high school practices, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say this. Do you know that Leonardo DiCaprio gif, when he's watching the TV, I don't even know where he's coming from, and he does this, he's like, that right there.
Yes.
Did you just say GIF?
The person who created it calls it a GIF. It's a GIF. The person who created it.
We have Noah Gross. Let's bring Noah Gross in and ask his opinion on this. Because Noah's, I feel like, is at least listening to this conversation, unfortunately for him. So we're getting the hold on just a second.
But I feel like we'll bring Noah in. And Noah's probably had this too. Where
isn't it GIF?
I've always called it GIF, and the person that created it calls it a GIF. So
GIF would be like Jiffy, either like Jiffy Lube or like Jif the peanut butter, and that's both the J. GIF, it's
no, it's GIF.
I don't see how that's the case. I'm not sure how. Noah, do you know?
It's GIF.
Thank you. Yeah, no,
it's GIF. Thank you, Noah. It's GIF, bro.
The person who made those things calls it
wrong.
a GIF.
Well, who is the
They're
person?
wrong.
Who is that? You, or who made like?
No. I'm saying I don't even know the person's name.
GIF pronounced.
What's the animal with the really? Hey, what's that big animal with the really long neck?
Both pronunciations, GIF. Both pronunciations, GIF with a hard G and GIF with a soft G, are widely used and accepted, even though the creator of the format, Steve
Thank you, Steve.
famously stated it is pronounced with a soft G, which is whatever it is that you're improperly saying.
No, I'm correctly saying it. Okay, so by the way,
it's a mock turtleneck. All right. It's short sleeve. It's short sleeve. All right.
I love it. It's very professional. I love it. It looks great.
Very left.
How did Maryland do this past?
Oh my God! I knew that was coming.
It was so good talking to you guys. I'll catch you next week. I'm out.
So, hey, Noah, every Sunday we have a Sunday night sports show, and the sports show ends up being a best of this show, and it's really hard to carve that thing down to 20 minutes. but I always like to end it off on a lighthearted note. My favorite part last week, and this is the way the show ended, was you saying that instead of the government shutting down, we might need to shut down the Maryland football program. And as I was watching that on Sunday after the loss, I was like, you know what? No, I might be right on this
Honestly,
one.
Dude, it's so bad. UCLA, 3 just disgusting losses in a row. I've never been more pumped for a bye week in my life, and I grew up watching the Browns. So this is some bad football.
That is saying something. That is saying something. Noah, if you had a chance to hear what you're saying prior to the GIF situation, we're talking about Lane Kiffin, kind of maybe throwing some shade here at Brent Venables, their game prep. He didn't use the term science stealing, but information gathering and other very ambiguous type words. Your thoughts on what it was that Lane Kiffin said? And obviously, I mean, Brent Venables is a coach who's done, been really, really successful, a lot of stops, and it's been, okay at Oklahoma to this point. Just thoughts on that?
Well, your discussion is slightly after that about high school coaches being paranoid that our video is going to be everywhere has driven me insane for years now. I'm so glad this spans
beyond us.
I know. Yes. I said it. Anybody that's in our business watching this, they'll know exactly what we're talking about.
They totally get it.
It's just like, hey, we're going to do some offense here. Can you not shoot that? I was like, if you knew what I was shooting, which is just a quarterback taking a football and throwing it.
Yes,
like,
correct.
No, first of all, nobody's like, this is airing 30 minutes before kickoff of your game. Second of all, what coach is going to see that and be like, oh my God, their quarterback throws the football and maybe to a slant route? Let's entirely change our game plan. So that fires me up. That's what Lane should have been talking about instead. But
no doubt.
As far as this, I do find it interesting that this is like a big discussion now, because I feel like it never used to really be brought up that much. And then it was talked about in the NFL as well with Robert Saleh and Liam Cohen of the Jaguars, and they got into a bit of a spat post-game as well. This is not because, I have a different view of Ohio State than Simone does, but I am anti-sign stealing, and even the fact that teams seem to be okay with it, and it's just part of the game, and the same thing in baseball. Like, people are super paranoid in baseball right now about it. It's like sweeping sports in all of the ways. Mm-hmm. I'm not a fan of it, and it getting called out, I think, is probably a good thing. Lane is just the press conference warrior, though. He's so calculated in everything he does. So I know he has his reasons for pointing out specific people with all of that stuff as well.
One of the big things about Lane, he's always just seemingly to me pokes the bear. And I think this is going to be more one of those pre-game talking points, and then it kind of dies in the game. As you break down this matchup between this kind of chess match, when we were talking about it beforehand, with Brent Venables, because Oklahoma so well, and with Lane Kiffin, how do you see that offense for Ole Miss and the defense for Oklahoma battling, knowing that you've seen at least the Oklahoma side of it?
Yeah, it's so interesting to me in the SEC and just the roller coaster that is a regular season. It's my second season covering SEC football, and you guys know better than me, but how Alabama was able to do what they were doing for so long, and now Georgia, where it's just every week you expect them to be at their A game, no matter who the last game was, is so impressive. Because I'm thinking about Oklahoma, and I'm like, man, these last 3 weeks are crazy. You get rocked by Texas, and you have to go on the road and play one of your best games at South Carolina. And they have to face Ole Miss, who was a top 5 team this past week. And then on the Ole Miss side of things, you're home, and then you go on the road and have this big, massive showdown against Georgia. Can you get back up against Oklahoma? So to me, that's the biggest thing in the SEC is how do you do this every single week? there are no 2016 Kansases in this league. So,
amen.
Yeah, I would say for this matchup, I think this Oklahoma team is kind of backed themselves into a corner after that Texas loss. Where this is the year that the leap should have happened. They have a quarterback, they have a defense, and that's something they haven't been able to combo for a while, especially under Venables, at least healthy. So when they lost that Texas game, it's all right, how are you going to respond to this? So I kind of like Oklahoma to make a statement the rest of the season, because Mateer, I don't know exactly how affected he was by the injury in the Texas game, but that offense did nothing. They looked so good on the road for much of the game last week against the Gamecocks. So Ole Miss has a couple of these games every year where you think they're going to handle it, and they don't. So overall, I would say I kind of like the way Oklahoma is trending right now.
As we were at Baumhauer's texting you about Maryland, and the 3 of us were watching Auburn do absolutely, not much offensively. on a TV somewhere in the corner there in this bar, off to the side, we saw the Oklahoma-Texas game. And then every now and then we looked over, and then we looked at Gerhard, who had just talked complete trash against Kentucky.
The Texas-Kentucky game.
What did I say?
Oklahoma, Texas.
I meant Kentucky, Texas. Sorry, everyone knew what I meant. Okay, so we glance over there, and we look at Kentucky and Texas. Then we look over at Gerhard, and we're like,
yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe this is not the Kentucky that you were just like totally dogging on for several days in a row. Then the game goes into overtime, and we're like, well, what's happening over here? Okay, then it ends, and of course Texas wins. But what is the state of the state with Texas Longhorns right now, Noah?
No apology from Gerhard, but before I get going.
Sorry, Mark Stoops. I completely underestimated your team, and I thoroughly overestimated Arch Manning. Thoroughly.
No doubt.
Yeah.
You and everybody else.
Yeah, that was an ugly football game,
Yeah.
It's just like a bad one to watch. State of the day for Texas is they celebrated that win as hard as I've seen them celebrate it like a regular season win since maybe like 2023 Alabama on the road. Like that was – it was ugly. Like Parker Washington, one of the tight ends for Texas, after the win, came up to our videographer there, Levon Whitaker, who was on the road traveling, and did I posted this on my Twitter as well, did a through the legs dribble and was like, let's play basketball, trolling Kentucky that they're a basketball school.
Oh, wow. That's strong.
Yeah.
After beating them in overtime.
Yeah.
This is the preseason #1 ranked Longhorns, by the way, with Kentucky, who hasn't had anything in a long minute. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Parker Washington, noted offensive player, who they did nothing against that Kentucky team.
Correct.
So Arch was bad, but they also averaged 1.7 yards per rush. I mean, it was like I'd had this graphic the other day on our newscast. It was like Texas was horrible passing the ball, 12 of 27, and nothing explosive. They were bad running the ball. Kentucky ran 31 more plays than them. They had way more first downs. The only reason Texas won that game is because of one man. I mean, the defense is good, whatever, but they're good every week. Ryan Niblett, the punt returner for Texas, is outstanding. The guy's story is awesome. We featured it a little bit last night on our newscast.
Yeah.
He had the punt return that set up the only touchdown for Texas, and the punt return late that set up a field goal for them to go up 13-10 at near the end of regulation. So the offense is in such bad shape right now. With that being said, I do think a lot of it is largely fixable if they're able to win this week against Mississippi State, which I don't know the exact line, but I know they're favored against the Bulldogs. Then they come back home for a Vanderbilt game that's going to be a massive one, because then you get the big finish after that. So this one against Mississippi State is going to be tough. And I was, again, talking to Roger Wallace, and he was like, if this 2-game stretch against Kentucky and Mississippi State, I would have been more worried for them going to Starkville now. And this is before that, because of that place is just kind of weird, and it can get loud. And, I mean,
again, get loud.
Yeah. So this week will be as big, if not a bigger test for Texas, and they have to take a massive step forward on offense.
Yeah, you mentioned this last week, and I thought it was really well articulated. And they came up with the win on the road, but this was a really good road team. And now, obviously, we've seen some leaks this year with 2 losses on the road, barely beating a team that a lot of people think that you should have beat by a lot more. And as you said, maybe over-celebrating a little bit there in Lexington. Now that you go back on the road in this matchup, what do you think the mindset is for this week's game against the team? Mississippi State has been right there with Tennessee and with others, and they're still, obviously hungry for their first SEC win.
It's going to be interesting for Texas because they're out without maybe their biggest leader in Michael Taff on the defensive side, who, that's a big injury for this Texas team. Look to be without, I should say, for this upcoming week. So that's going to be a big one for Texas. I think they're hungry to get back on the field. Arch said last week let me rewind a little bit. I think after the Oklahoma game, he said it's good to practice coming off a loss because you're angry. Remember, they got rocked by Florida. The offense was bad. They all talked about how great a week of practice they had against leading up to the Oklahoma game, I should say, and how that led into a very good showing against the Sooners. Arch, after the Kentucky game, was like, this is perfect because it feels like a loss offensively, but we still won. So they kind of have a hunger to get back out there.
Sure.
And, Quinn Ewers said this a couple times in his first year starting, where he's like, for example, after he they beat Oklahoma like 34-3 his freshman year. He's like, I thought I had it all figured out after that point. He was listening to everybody say how great he was, and then he was massively struggling after that. Arch is probably a bit more seasoned because he's in his third year in college football, but after that Oklahoma game, you could see him take like that deep breath and everything. So I'm not saying he was like complacent, but there's got to be a level of urgency that I think they probably now again have after how ugly things were against Kentucky.
Yeah, I think we have the latest from Steve Sarkisian this week. Let's take a listen into Coach following the close win there against Kentucky.
You know, the fact that expectations at the University of Texas are always going to be high. But I think we've raised the bar from where we were when I got here to where we are now. And that's a credit to the players and the staff and the organization and the administration. We're a playoff team. That's what we are now. You know, we're back-to-back years. We've gone to the semifinals with an opportunity to go to the national championship game. And so when that becomes the standard, right, then we all have to hold ourselves to that standard. And that's okay. I don't know what's the hardest part of our schedule yet, right? We're going on the road for the 4th straight week. We're getting on an airplane to go play a game in a hotel that's not our own. And that's pretty challenging too for not only young people, but coaches and everybody involved. You know, we got home at 3:30 in the morning the other night, and we're back in the office at 8 o'clock, back to work, back to game plan, and we're going to go on the road again. And so there's different things that are tough about a schedule. This stretch has been difficult too from a mindset perspective. And so I know we've got other games down the road that everybody's looking to. Man, we've got a bullseye on this one because this is the most important game of the season for us because it's the next one. And we've said all along, the SEC is a very daunting task when you work your way through our conference. And Michael Taft reminded me in the locker room after the game the other night, the SEC champs of last year went to that same stadium and won 13-12. And so it's not always about how pretty wins are in our conference. Sometimes you just got to find a way to win. And we were able to do that. And now our focus is on, by any means necessary, we got to find a way to win Saturday in Starkville, Mississippi. And it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a tough game.
I'm going to roll my eyes so far. The entire time he was just talking just now and all of the complaints, Noah, my eyes were rolling so far in the back of my head at the amount of excuse. I love Steve Sarkisian. By far my favorite coach after Nick Saban left in the SEC, him, Lane Kiffin. I mean, they're some of the greatest when it comes to just being characters. They're good people. I really love Sark. Dude makes $11 million to coach football. You got to get up. You got to go to this, turn around, do this. I mean, come on, man. Like, the complaints, bro, like, I get it, okay? Life is hard, but, like, people have got it worse. It's going to be okay. You're coaching football for a living. You make $11 million. It's going to be okay.
That's why I'm saying the SEC, these turnarounds and the big, tough
don't let these
road
people
games.
Fool you, bro. They're coaching the greatest conference in college football. They make more money than God. They're going to be okay. They're going to be okay.
They do make a lot of money, but I will say this month of October for Texas, we talked about it beforehand, is – oh, my gosh. It's a tough one, Simone, okay? They haven't played at home once.
Oh.
I mean.
Then go complain to your AD, my dog. Like, listen, we're not feeling bad for you. I feel bad for Roger.
No.
Roger's got to, if you got to travel with the team or leave on. I mean, have you even left KXAN in 4 weeks? No, because I don't feel bad for you. Are you traveling? Or what are you doing, dog?
Here's who we're not going to feel bad. Okay, I agree. We don't feel bad for Texas. We certainly don't feel bad for Roger. That's a given. And then
I love Roger. We're in lockstep. That is my guy.
Yeah, good guy, but we do not feel bad for him. He has a good job, a great family, all that stuff. He gets to work with us, so he's a happy guy. But what was the question? Oh yeah, Texas in the month of October has first of all for me, awesome. Because they haven't been home and it's so hot and I don't have to cover a game when it's 95 degrees out. Second of all, I mean, you have this stretch where it is Oklahoma, Mississippi State, Kentucky, Florida, and all the way from home. Yeah, by the end of it, this is something that Sark has not been used to as a head coach, this level of competition this much consistently in this conference. So I know he's seen it before, but navigating that.
The Big 12 is always there. The Big 12 is always there. They're sitting here saying, hey, please come back. Please come back here. Please come back and play with us because our league doesn't matter anymore.
And I do love it. And from a football standpoint, you're right. This is a tough stretch. But you mentioned Florida, Mississippi State, and Kentucky. Between them, they have 0 wins in the SEC, and one doesn't have a coach.
I mean, that's why we said it was a winnable stretch, But hasn't looked good.
Hey, it could be like Maryland because they got to go to the West Coast.
Oh, gosh.
I mean, listen, now if you're Mike Loxley, okay, I feel bad. Because you got fans like Noah expecting greatness, and we've got to go all the way to UCLA. We've got to go all the way over here to try to make it these wins on the other side of the country, because that's the only way we can make the Big Ten relevant is to add these people that are miles and 2-4 time zones away.
Am I supposed to answer that? I mean, that's
no,
crazy.
no, it could be worse.
He's like, am I supposed to say something back to that? Am I supposed to respond to that right now?
Could be worse, Noah. You could like the West Virginia Mountaineers, who are dead last in P4 teams on third down.
Maryland's probably
offense.
only second to last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, any stat you can conjure up,
Good news is
Maryland's
Maryland
gotta
gets to
be
be
near
at
the bottom.
home, then they go to Rutgers, then they're at Illinois. So they're actually ending their Big Ten schedule with Big Ten teams.
Oh, yeah.
In the Midwest.
Legitimate Big Ten teams.
Yeah. Big Ten.
Next year, I'm gonna make a Southeast Sports Plus ruling. Okay. Next year, I'm coming on the show for the month of September, and then I will not be coming on after, because historically speaking, on the month of September, Maryland is like the best team in college football.
They're great. Yeah.
He's trying to avoid this. At this point,
I'm
Noah,
done.
you've gotten at least 2 texts from me on a Saturday, poking the bear about Maryland, and I honestly take a lot of pride in that because I never paid attention before. But the second that I saw that score, Patrick showed me when we were sitting there at Baumhower's, I thought, I got to text Noah about this.
It was so bad, and I just don't know how I still get so angry, even though I know it's going to happen.
And we love you for it.
That's how I feel about the Cowboys, Noah.
Listen, we love you for it.
Yeah, man, it's bad.
It's great.
It's bad every week.
It's great. Listen, Noah, we appreciate your time. We're going to take a quick break. Be sure to say hello to Roger and to Levon and all of our friends there in Austin, and keep holding it down there for the Terps and Texas and everybody else.
Thanks for having me on. I want to see one of you guys rocking the mock turtleneck next week. All right, it's in.
Done and done.
G-Money. I think Gerhard and Patrick should both have to wear one.
Done and done.
Whatever day we're going to book
Yes.
it's going to be a little, triple option here. Everybody's
Triple
gonna be
option.
in the
Noah
mock
day.
That'll be
turtle.
good. I'm telling you.
I can't wait.
Total up.
Yeah, put a jacket over top of it. Looking sharp. Looking sharp.
Gold chain, too.
Yes, yes, please. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break here on Southeast Sports Plus. We'll be back in 2.5 minutes. Stay with us.
Back here on Southeast Sports Plus here on Thursday.
Okay, it is GIF. It is GIF.
Hey, what's the animal with the really long neck?
Giraffe. Okay, but the English language makes no sense as is, so it's GIF though.
Do you know what Jif is? Like Jif the peanut butter?
Yes.
Okay. It's spelled with a J, just like that. J-I-F.
What color is your dress?
Red.
R-E-A-D is also pronounced. I'm just saying.
R-E-A-D is read.
And the past tense.
The past tense is red.
R-E-E-D. The name.
Read.
But GIF and GIF and GIF, G and J. JP is learning that in 3K right now.
The person that created. We've already come to the realization that you can say the word that starts with the letter G in the J version. GIF it is.
We'll just be right back.
with a G.
Gust.
Wrapping things up here on a Thursday. SEC Week 9. Hard to believe it's already here, but as we look around the SEC, number 8 Ole Miss taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. Lane Kiffin always got something to say. Moving over to Fayetteville, Auburn taking on Arkansas, which I honestly think might be one of the most underrated games this weekend.
Underrated? Nothing. Everyone's going to be tuning into that one.
That's about can Bobby Petrino keep that job?
Can Hugh Freeze keep that job?
Moving it right along. Number 4 Alabama taking on South Carolina. Should be an interesting one. Let's see
if place, Simone, the chicken.
And then College Game Day going to Nashville for the second time ever. Missouri taking on Vanderbilt. Should be a dandy.
Nothing like for Missouri Vandy being a top 15 matchup, guys.
Yeah. And the College Game Day
we're in 2025 here. Texas, we just talked with Noah Gross. Can they avoid the upset against Mississippi State? Can they still make the playoff? Who knows? Still to be seen. Texas A&M taking on LSU. Who knows what LSU is going to give you this year? And then Kentucky, who almost just beat Texas last week, is going to host Tennessee. Some amazing games here this weekend.
Sneaky.
Well, all I'm going to say, guys, is this is what's hilarious to me. Okay, nothing against you, Patrick, and nothing against me. Here, let me say, when you're a seasoned SEC media person, such as me and Gerhard over here, like these top 15, no, the last one right there, we're talking Vanderbilt, Missouri is a little bit surprising. All these other teams, everyone's like, oh my gosh, every week it's so hard. Oh my gosh. Okay, well, when you live life in fantasy land over there in the Big 12 and in the ACC, you guys
whoa,
turn your mic off for a minute. You guys aren't used to what we already know is fact, which is it just means more every week. And so we're like, oh yeah, you got LSU, Bama, Ole Miss.
I mean,
Florida?
you guys.
Okay, that's just another.
You guys already had football, and now you're trying to take over basketball, and now the ACC and Big 12 can't have anything.
Welcome to the South. We got better barbecue and better sports. Deuces and better golf courses.
And better games to bet on. So here we go. Number 8, Ole Miss at Oklahoma, 5.5-point favorites. Who we got?
I like Mateer and Company to cover the spread. They win by 7.
Pass, no way. I like Ole Miss and the upset on the road.
Ole Miss on the upset, yes, for sure. Auburn at Arkansas. Here we go.
I'm going to go with Auburn going into Fayetteville and getting the W. Thanks to Ash and Daniel.
Got Auburn with a W.
I agree.
Mizzou,
I don't like that line. That line hurts my heart.
Give me Pavi and Company at home.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
Texas, Mississippi State.
I'm not touching Texas with a 10-foot pole. Give me Mississippi State to win their first SEC game.
Are you?
They're out of here to me.
And then Texas A&M, LSU, we have 5 seconds.
Did you do the points or the straight up?
Oh, no, straight up. Mississippi State wins again. Get them out of here.
A&M wins. We'll see you tomorrow.
Get them out of here.